when you were 22 years old,
Mhm.
you were told by a doctor you should have been dead a month ago. Tell me what happened and also how that event has informed your life.
No, absolutely. Yeah, so I was 22. I was having for about a month from the beginning of October. I would walk maybe a couple of blocks, and I was out of breath, really, really fast. And one day, and I'm 22. I'm thinking, I'm at the height of health. 22-year-olds don't die. This whole thing. Um, and one day, uh, I woke up and I couldn't walk, and this is a month into being short of breath, walking upstairs, being short of breath, just taking a walk down the block. Couldn't understand what was happening, but I woke up and couldn't walk, and again didn't relate the two, but decided if tomorrow is this bad, then I'll go to the doctor. And the next day was worse, and so I went to the hospital, and thinking that I pulled a groin. I pulled a muscle in my groin, and possibly in my calf. And he comes back and he says, "How long have you been out of breath?" After running the test, and I say, "Oh, since last month, the beginning of October." And he says, "Oh, you should have been dead a month ago. You have 16 clots going from your ankle all the way up into your lungs, and at least one of those should have killed you." And I'm thinking, oh, well, it didn't. So let's get me back to optimum health, And so we get there, and eventually, but that moment for me showed me that, one, at any moment we could go. Two, how precious life is, and how precious life should be. Like now, having to face that mortality, having to say, "Oh, I could be dead at any given moment." And this is something now that I live with. Going forward, this is something that I have to go see my hematologist every year and hear her say, "Oh, glad you're still here. How can we keep you moving forward?" But because of that, I live a fantastic. I'm so sorry about that. I live a fantastic life, and I'm just so honored to be able to say, I choose to make this Tuesday, or it's Wednesday, to make this Wednesday bright, and I choose to make this Wednesday as great and as colorful and as beautiful as possible, instead of waking up and just merely existing. So there's this difference between, for me, between living and existing, and that diagnosis, that moment helped me see what that difference is. And so having to face their mortality, and I talk a lot about that. I talk a lot to people. I'm just saying, when you having to face that mortality and how much it helps us live the life that we deserve to live. Like I told a friend yesterday, I said, we'd all be so blessed to be diagnosed with something that could kill us at any moment.
That's why I wanted to start the conversation there, because I think this idea of living with an awareness that death can come at any moment, it's very powerful. And in reading your book and in getting to learn more about your life story, you're a tremendously creative, adventurous, fun, loving, joyful person. And I thought to myself, some of this must come from the fact that Darnell is aware that he could really go at any moment. His blood clots, he could go at any moment. And so my question is, how do people live with that kind of awareness without having to have the kind of medical condition, I'm sorry, that you have?
Yeah, no, it's about being intentional. It's about honoring the moment, and it doesn't have to be this thing that we recognize and pay close attention to every day. Every day I don't think about this. There are days or weeks that might pass, and it wasn't a thought in my mind that at any moment I could go. But when it does come, it's a moment that I honor, and I say, "Oh, that's true about me. That's a thing. Maybe today I should do something that I want to do," or maybe, now that I've recognized that, maybe I should do something beautiful and meaningful and honor this moment. And I think that's what it is. There are moments that come for everyone, that when we're alone, like even before this, there were moments where I'd be alone in my room at night and I'd say, what if tonight's the last night? And then I'd journal or find something the next day that, I should go to the bookstore tomorrow and find a book that I really want to read in case the time goes, And so it's about honoring those moments when they come. We don't have to live in this constant fear that we could die at any second. But when it does come, sit with it, savor that moment and say, okay, glad that's here. This is what I'm going to do.
You were an unusual kid. I read that at 13, you were volunteering at a hospice and home care facility after school. And I thought, God, I've never met a 13-year-old who was a hospice volunteer. They're off going to some sporting, gymnastics, something or other.
Yeah.
What brought you to want to volunteer at a hospice at 13?
Yeah, it's strange how my life lined up that way. Like, I didn't volunteer at the place because it was a hospice. Although, looking back, it's wild to see all the dots that are connected. But my friends were working, had real job. I had a couple years older than me. They were getting, work permits at Hardee's and McDonald's and all these things. And I wanted to work, but I couldn't because I was too young. And I remember the public access channel that just flipped through with ads of the things that were happening in the city all the time. And I was sitting there watching it one day, and it said that they needed volunteers. And I thought, well, maybe I could volunteer. So after school, I went up there and I did it because it was a job. And my job was to help residents do arts and crafts and make toast and change calendars in the rooms. But while I was doing it, I'd go into the rooms and they asked me to sit with them for a while because they hadn't had visitors in, however long, or I'd be able to I was the person who was able to be there for them when others weren't coming. And even then, at 13, I didn't think I was doing anything spectacular or necessary. I just thought, oh, well, this is what I do. This is what people do. Yeah, sure. I'll sit here and play checkers or Monopoly with you, or play cards, or just sit and talk with you. And I learned so much from those people there. And it was such a beautiful time that now when I look back, I think, oh, well, of course, this is where all of that led me. This is where all of those things brought me to this work. I've been doing it since then. But yeah, it wasn't on purpose, I'll say, but it was what was aligned,
Discover on-demand videos and docuseries, explore a full schedule of daily life classes, and become part of an incredible community. At Sounds True One, we invite you inward to find your way, your way.